In this video, I'm going to be trying to create Portal 3 because we haven't gotten a new Portal game in almost 10 years. The closest thing that we've gotten to a new Portal game is Bridge Constructor Portal, and while that was fun to play, it wasn't the sequel I was looking for. Also, I'm only going to be focusing on what the gameplay will be like since I don't know how to write a story, so feel free to theorize down below what you think the plot of the game could be about. Alright, enjoy the video. Okay, so right away I noticed I had a very obvious problem. I have no idea how to make a portal. Luckily, Unity themselves put out a demo which had exactly what I was looking for. They even have a free download, and it doesn't exist anymore. Alright, that's fine. Bracky's put out a tutorial on this, and where did I go wrong? Okay, maybe he might put out another video soon. What? Bracky's left? At this point I thought it was over before I even started, and I was ready to give up. But then I found exactly what I needed. Sebastian Lague put out a video where he experimented with portals to get some really cool effects, and he even put out the project for free. So thank you, Sebastian. Very cool. Now, as good as these portals were, they still needed some work. I had to make them into the right shape, and I had to give them that blue and orange outer glow. Next, I wanted to try placing the portals on top of each other and loop infinitely, but when I tried it, I couldn't get through the portal. I realized that even though the mesh of my character wasn't rendering on the other side, the capsule collider there still existed, and I was colliding with the ground underneath me. So I had to make sure that if I was within a certain distance from the portal, that I turned off collisions with either the wall or the floor that the portal was on. Much better. The last thing I needed to fix was the player's rotation. Unless the portals are completely parallel, the player will come out the other portal at an angle, making the game hard to control. So I just need to make sure that if I'm not standing upright, that I quickly return back to an upright position. Now that I had working portals, I need to make a working portal gun. But I can't do that here. The portal games take place in a monochrome laboratory, not a colorful forest. So I grabbed some Portal 2 textures from Roblox and made a quick demo room. Then I found a model of the portal gun on Sketchfab and attached it to my character. And finally, I made a little reticle to tell where the character is aiming. We can tell where to place the portals using some raycasting to tell where the reticle is aimed. Now when we try to place both portals, they don't work. After a bit of light debugging, the portals now work properly, and I made it so that the portal reticle will light up when the portal is active, as well as added some animations to the portal gun to make it look a little more interesting. Also, I realized that I was still using this giant bean as my player model. I fixed this by finding a model of Chell on Sketchfab, and adding some animations to her that I got from MrMobi, and now it's starting to look a lot more like an actual Portal game, but I'm still far from finished. There are a lot of other things that I have left to add, so I'm just gonna quickly read through the list. There's the test chambers, the chamber lock, the material emancipation grill, the aerial faith plate, the crusher, the excursion, hard light bridge, thermal discouragement, the weighted storage, the weighted companion. Yeah, you get the point. First, I'm going to start with the buttons. They're pretty self-explanatory. You step on a button, and the button activates something else. Also, there's a line of dots leading from the button to whatever it activates, and it changes color depending on whether or not it's been activated. There are also some buttons that require a cube to activate it. Stepping on the button does nothing, but placing a cube on the button does. Speaking of buttons, you know, like, I'm just saying, like, help a guy out? You know. Okay, I'll stop. But there's still one more button left, the pedestal button. Unlike the other buttons that need you to stand on them, or place another object on them, this only needs you to walk up and press E. Using raycasting, you can also walk up to these cubes and pick them up by pressing E. But you have to be careful when you see one of these particle fields. The player can pass through these fields just fine, but any objects that they try to bring through with them will instantly be destroyed. And it also resets any portals that you placed. So far everything is looking kinda peaceful, but this wouldn't be a Portal game without the lingering feeling of death around every corner. There are a lot of dangerous elements in the Portal series, and the most memorable one is probably the sentry turrets. These guys will destroy anything that happened to walk in front of them. And to detect if there's a player in front of them, I used cone casting. Cone casting is like raycasting, but instead of a ray, it uses a cone. If the player walks inside of this cone, the turret will lock on and start shooting. But if you walk up behind them, you can just knock them over. Or you could pick them up and drop them somewhere else. But I have to make sure that when you pick them up, they also face away from you, so you don't have this happen.
Hello there.
Oh yeah, I have to give the player a health bar. Now we can start to add the other deadly features. The laser fields are the opposite of particle fields. Objects can be thrown through these fields and nothing will happen, but the player will be destroyed if they try to cross through. Crushers, as the name implies, will immediately crush the player, and lasers, as you can imagine, will slowly damage the player over time, unless they use a special cube. Once again, we can use raycasting to see if the laser is hitting the cube, and to determine which way the cube will redirect the laser. The laser can be used to activate doors, or can also be used to destroy the enemies. You can also make lasers go through portals by duplicating them and placing the new laser on the second portal. I determined how long it needs to be once again using raycasting to calculate the distance between the origin and the point it collides with. The last lethal element in this list is the goo, also known as toxic water, acid, hazard liquid, and deadly goo. The characters in the Portal series can't swim in this goo, and it will do continuous damage to them. I added a cool water shader to the goo to make it have waves, and I also added some post-processing effects to make your vision change color and be blurry when you go under the goo. So in rooms like this, you can't place portals on the walls, and you can't jump far enough to reach the other side. Luckily, there are these launch pads that can help you jump across the goo and get to the other side. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a model online for the launch pad, so I tried my best to make a replacement. Also, these launch pads are really fun to mess around with. You can have them launch you to build up speed, and then carry that speed with you after going through a portal. But there are still other ways that we can run faster and jump higher. The orange propulsion gel propels you forward, allowing you to gain a lot of speed. As long as you're making contact with the gel, your speed will be increased. The blue repulsion gel does the opposite, it repels you away. But this doesn't mean that it'll slow you down, instead it actually makes you bounce off of it. So if you were to jump onto it from really high up, it will bounce you all the way back up after making contact. And the last of the gels is the white conversion gel, which will allow you to place a portal on any surface touched by this gel. Before this gel was introduced, you were only able to place portals on a specific wall that were colored white. Now you can use this gel to place portals in new places. There's only a few things left to recreate now, the hard light bridge and the excursion funnel. The hard light bridge is a solid made from natural sunlight, apparently. It allows the player to walk on it, and they can also go through portals. Using the light bridge with some portals can let the player get to places they weren't able to reach before, and they can even place portals that had an angle to get up higher. The excursion funnel changes the gravity of anybody who enters it. The player will follow the path created by the funnel, and like the light bridge, these can go through portals as well. The only problems with these funnels is that they travel really slow, and I mean really slow. So I decided to increase the speed just a little bit to avoid slowing down the pace of the game. Okay, we're already this far into the video, and I've only shown you things so far that were from the first 2 games. So let's move right along into the new stuff. So coming up with new ideas is pretty hard, so I decided to try and implement some of the scrapped ideas from the previous games first. The first one that I thought was pretty interesting was the adhesion gel. Like the other gels, coming into contact with this has some sort of special effect. This gel allows the player to stick to any surface that the gel was placed on. This means that the player can stick to walls and ceilings. But it turns out that the playtesters got disoriented when they were trying to think with portals, so Valve scrapped the idea. Now I don't think that every mechanic needs to be connected to the portals, and I think it's fine if we have some standalone mechanics as well, so I started to add the gel into the game. When you walk on the gel, you stick to that surface, and when you try to walk away from it, gravity will pull you back down. And that got me thinking about what kind of puzzle solving mechanics we could do by changing gravity. I made a simple room with a path of adhesion gel all around the walls and on the ceiling. Then I made a button that needs a cube to activate it, and activating the button will open the next door. The only problem is that I put this button on the wall, and you can't reach it from the adhesion gel path, and you can't place portals in this room. So I made a button on each wall, the ceiling, and the floor that would change the gravity when pressed. And when testing the change in gravity, everything went perfectly fine and I didn't have any problems at all. After pressing this button, you can walk off of the adhesion gel and not fall down anymore. Gravity will also change for any object in this room as well. Another gameplay mechanic that was scrapped was the paint gun. There's actually no information about this, but the concept alone made me think of some interesting things to do. I created an attachment for the portal gun that allows you to shoot out one of the 4 gels. By default, nothing is loaded into the paint gun, so I created these refueling stations to fill it up with gel. And I also created a station where you can get rid of any gel that you're carrying. With this, you can now shoot gel wherever you want. You can spread the walls with adhesion gel to walk on any walls. You can shoot some propulsion gel to let you move faster. You can shoot some repulsion gel to jump higher. And you can spread some conversion gel to create portals wherever you want. But letting the player run around with this all the time would be kinda game breaking, so I made sure that if the player passes the particle field, that the gel in the paint gun will disappear as well. And with any other level of portal, it always ends with the chamber lock. Once you step inside of this elevator, you know that you've beaten the level. And now I'm pretty much out of ideas, so I think this will be the end of the video. Alright, see ya.